Oh, I messed up already.
You're good.
All right. We just got back from cabs. We took a test.
Yup.
Except for Nate because he was absent.
Absent.
Now we're doing a podcast. How to Make Friends.
Yup.
It's about a book by Dale
Dale
Carnegie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome to our podcast.
How you guys doing today?
I'm Davian,
I'm Jackson.
And I'm Nick.
and we're just going to be talking about our thoughts and opinions about
How to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
You know, first off, I'd like to say this book was pretty boring, but I actually got some valuable information about it.
It's good to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of stuff in a book is like pretty like logical stuff that most people should know, but it's good that Dale Carnegie is reminding us to really use this information in our lives.
Yeah, I'm glad that we read a book like this. Usually when I sometimes go to the bookstore, I look for nonfiction books that add value to your life and that improve your like human capital.
Yeah, I feel like these books are 100% better than reading like a World War Z, for example. Last year we had to read. It was just a fiction book that didn't really help us. I mean, kind of made my brain think, but didn't really give me life skills to apply to my life, so this was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, aside from that, then let's get started to talk about the book.
What was your guys' like favorite part, would you say?
For me, I like part 4 of How to Be a Leader because I think being a leader is, or not how to be a leader, it's just like teaching you tactics of being a good leader. And one of the key aspects that I liked was like working with your team.
Oh yeah.
From my personal experience, I worked with at a workplace called Crew Car Wash, and it was just annoying when our managers would make us do a whole bunch of, they made us clean a majority of the cars, and while they worked on other stuff that wasn't really necessary, but
Honestly, I think I like part 2 the most, especially like when it was talking about the smiling principle. I think the smiling principle is a very good one. There's other stuff like how Jackson said
Dude,
about the naming
by
one.
far, the best part, what I think I agree with David, was the leader part, because I don't really, obviously, I'm a bit of a leader, but I'm not a great leader. But this book taught me different ways to improve that. But also part 2, where they said to remember people's names, it goes a long way. I think that's the most important part of the book by far. Wow, this dummy over here thinks it's...
I honestly think the smiling part is the most important part, because let's say if you're remembering people's name, then you can remember their name, but if your attitude, if your body language is showing that you don't care, you're frowning, it just looks like you're an arrogant boss. Like, it doesn't matter if you remember their name, you know?
Yeah, that's fair, but I feel like it's a great point.
Yeah,
but
I know.
You're a dummy. You're a dummy still. No, it makes no sense
I
what
know
you're
it's a
saying.
great point.
Because if someone came up to me, they remembered my name, I'd be like, oh, they remember me, I must be important to them. While if they come up smiling, I know a lot of people who go up fake smiling to people, it doesn't really mean anything, but their name, I feel like would leave a lasting impact.
But what Carnegie really focused on that part is not a fake smile. It's a real, genuine smile. Let's say I go up to Davian, right? Hey, Davian.
hi,
Nice to meet you. Wait, what's your name again? I forgot. I'm sorry about that.
my name's Davian.
Or you could do something like this.
Like this, hey. Oh,
Hey,
Nick,
Damien.
what's up? How you been?
Hey, Jackson.
Hey, what's up? How you been?
Yeah, see, nobody wants that. People want a bright smile when they want to interact with new people. It does matter that you should remember their name, but I feel like what people really appreciate more is body language, such as what we learned in class. You know, body language makes up like
From Josh.
70%, 90%. I don't know, but I know it's a large
75.
percentage. I know it's a
75.
large percentage that body language makes up when you're interacting with other people. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
Well, for me, I don't think one is more important than the other because
My side's better.
it kind of like, it's like a recipe. If you cook a cake, or if you bake a cake without flour and you have everything else, you know, it doesn't always turn out. I mean, yeah, some key aspects you don't really need to utilize as much as others in certain scenarios, but I think that they're all pretty credible and useful when meeting new people. And but the one I value the most, or that I think comes most natural to me, is being a good listener. If you don't hear any other person's perspective, that just defeats the purpose of communicating. And I feel like by being a good listener, hopefully they'll reciprocate being a good listener back when you're talking about yourself, because people love to talk about themselves. Yeah, or their opinions, their ideas. And maybe some people who don't like to, they at least like their opinions to be validated. So.
Yeah, obviously you guys had favorite parts of the book, but what was like the most beneficial? It could be your favorite part still, but to me, I feel like my most beneficial part was like kind of wording what you're saying to make people think they're getting something out of it.
Part 3?
Was that part 3? Yeah, I feel like that was the most beneficial by far, because if you tell someone, be like, hey, do this, or you could be like, hey, if you did this, it would really like help you out, or like make a positive like saying is a lot better than just talking like straightforward.
That also reminded me of part 1. There was this specific example where it was at a construction site, and there was like some people, they don't want to wear their helmets, right? I don't really remember what part this was, but it was about good job on wearing your helmet. It's like positive reinforcement and like negative reinforcement. Like it's a way you also word things that would like make you get your way too. So it's just as important as being assertive. You kind of have to like manipulate your words in a certain way to make the other person feel like, oh, I really think that I should do this, because I feel like most of the things that a person that's willing to do, they have to find that in themselves for them to like do it, because you can't really like force a person to like do stuff.
Yeah, that's really important. Perception is pretty much what makes the world the way it is. Like in politics, for example, we have different parties, and that's just because of the way they perceive things. Like one hot topic is abortion. Some people perceive it as like the baby is still living, so that they shouldn't get rid of their life before. Or on the opposing side, where people believe that it's our right because some people aren't ready to have babies, and the baby's life would be they wouldn't have the best life. It's because of the situation they're in. Like they can't afford having a baby, and they just, it wouldn't be ideal for the both of them.
Yeah, going back to that, I think that goes back to part 1, and it was like you gotta make sure people don't really know your opinion. You kind of gotta make it more mutual. And they said, what'd they say? It was something like, oh, I can't think of it. But basically that's the gist of it. Basically they said just make sure like people don't really know your opinion, but you also validate others' opinions. You don't just be like, hey, you're wrong. You kind of just got to be like, oh, I like your opinion, like even if you don't agree with it.
Yeah, people don't like being shut out. And also, I talked about perspective, but what Nick said of how people don't like to be bossed around but more praised.
Sorry, man, Jesus.
No problem. Yeah, I think people like to be more encouraged because they're getting congratulated. Obviously, it's kind of like a reward, it's a little dopamine spike. But if you're like getting told what to do and following like strict rules and stuff like that, people feel like they're not free, like they don't have freedom. And I don't think anybody wants to feel that way. And also just like if somebody were to boss me around, at the end of the day, I feel like we're still both people. So,
yeah, honestly, I think it's just like Dale Carnegie's like main like focus or like argument in this like whole book is just how like how you read other people's mind and how you like manipulate your own words for them to like like you. It's like the title, how to influence people and make them like. Yeah. I think we forgot to touch base on this, but what part or specifically like just what section in general do you guys feel like you personally need to work on?
I'd say definitely not sharing my opinion, kind of keeping it neutral. Like, I don't really care what people really think of me, so I'll just state my opinion. And if they don't, some people need to read this book. They got to realize that you got to respect other people's opinions. But yeah,
I think that I need to work on getting people to think like me. Sometimes I have trouble communicating my thought process and opinions, so it's just hard to. So I think that the lessons they taught and like takeaways, like, I feel like I do them, but I don't send my message of my way of thinking as well. Like, I avoid arguments. I show respect for other people's opinions, but I have a hard time expressing my own opinion and getting them to see it from my perspective. Another thing from part 4, it was my favorite part, but because I feel like I could work on it the most, I feel like I'm assertive a lot. Sometimes I have a leadership personality and I could take on a leadership role if given to me, but if anybody else takes on that leadership role before I could, then I probably just let them take that and just work with them.
Yeah, me too. I feel like I need to be more assertive. I mean, for my college essay, I wrote about how like I hated picking sides because me as a person, I would consider myself as a pretty open-minded person. And sometimes I feel like I'm too open-minded where like I really don't like choose any like side at all. And sometimes if you don't really choose sides, then people could consider that as like you're like an indifferent person, like you don't really care about anything. But I do care, I just don't really know. And sometimes people could just call me a wuss for not picking any side. But
Yeah.
I just want to find like a middle ground between everything. And because of my like struggle to like communicate like my opinions, that's why I kind of lean towards like that like middle ground. So yeah, so that's something I need to work on personally, from the book.
I like that. I like that. That way of thinking, finding middle ground with everything. I do think that it is important though to not always pick the middle ground. It's like in some certain cases, like maybe somebody is right and it's for the better, like their choice. And not saying that the other person's completely wrong, but it's just for the best possible outcome. Sometimes you just need to choose the better option. All right.
yeah.
Maybe yeah, I think that's our podcast time right there.
Yeah.
So we can just finish off on a scale of 10. How would you guys like the book? How would you guys rate the book?
I'd give you go first.
I'd say like a 6 or 7 out of 10 because at points it was boring, but then it was also very like informational. I learned a lot from it. So it kind of just depends how you want to look at it from an informational standpoint or like entertainment standpoint. But overall, I got a lot of information that I can apply to my everyday life.
Yeah. I'd give it an 8.5. It was a good book. It had a lot of like good lessons to teach and a lot of tips and tricks. But for a book like that, for me personally, I'd rather have a shorter book than what it was because
Yeah,
I
it
felt
was
like
pretty long.
it could have been. It wasn't the longest book ever.
Like
but
I'll be honest, I didn't touch that book until about a week ago. So I thankfully haven't had like any homework in the past week, but so I just read that.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
that's a long time.
Send it with a song.
Yeah.
You gotta sing this.
Wait. Let me rate it too. I go by a pretty realistic 10 scale. So if I think it's mediocre, then I rate it a 5. But honestly, I think this book was pretty good. So I'll rate it like a 6.3 probably. Specifically because Carnegie gave a lot of like good examples from like past leaders such as Sun Tzu and like yeah, all those cool leaders. But yeah, it was a pretty good book. I liked it. Okay.